Armada Book 7 Chapter 2, The Defenders. Andrew walked into the mission room. Andrew at the mission room, a Talonot shouted. All in the room stood and saluted. Andrew walked in with Manpat, Roden, Chilla and Binaton. As they sat down, Ellie walked in front. The whole room sat. Some were standing along the aisles. I would moderate the meeting so none of you get to joke more than you should, Ellie said and looked at Roden. Roden stood and waved at the crowd. Hello, I want to be serious this time. A laughter broke among the people. Really? For weeks ago, our universe, our dimension faced an invasion. Because we were all prepared and had an advantage in travel technology, thanks to Ellie and her eggheads, and Andrew and Olive, we all acted quickly and decisively. The Talonauts and Norset responded quickly. General Rogan responded quickly. We were prepared, our hops warned us, our Crimson friends performed exceedingly well. We were able to contain the invasion within an hour after Alan set the ball rolling. These actions speak well of the Armada people who acted quickly and decisively. I am here to bring home the point that what we thought was a possibility has happened and will happen again. We were invaded by a dimension several decades more advanced than ours. But we were better, smarter and braver. We also have more species and our Armada universe span more than what they had. And we acted with unified purpose, to defend our dimension from invaders. I am proud to have taken part in these activities. But prouder still of what we would be doing for the years to come. Roden then sat down nonchalantly. Chilla stood and, this time we do not joke around with these would-be interlopers. We will take the ball to their dimension. As Roden once told me that the best defense would be a good offense. As defenders of our dimension, we will thus take the offensive. The mission room exploded into a loud cheer. Chilla raised her fist and smiled. Okay, fine, we can also joke a little bit. Billy reported to me that he has dispatched taggers and infiltrators in all 4 dimensions, and he found a lot. First they blew up a planet in each dimension. She stopped, looked around at the mission room. Most of you knew about this and this caused our Armada's operations to stall for 2 days 18 days ago. We have to take action. Time may not be on our side if you think of the other dimensions. Billy's report showed not only 4 but more than a dozen dimensions that have been contacted by the Maccabees from a dimension which we have not gone into yet. Billy is still investigating and trying to get this intel. You all are expecting a major operation and you are all correct. But we will not be aggressive. We will take sure-footed steps. We will still be funny, but we will be careful. Chilla walked a few steps towards the other side of the room. A hollow of a list of information on the 4 dimensions appeared. If you have read the latest report from the 400 ships we sent out to the 4 dimensions, you would realize that each of them is absolutely unique. In this first dimension here, the Armada has not formed yet and the timeline is behind ours by 80 years. The Maccabees here started by controlling much of the planet with good deeds. They also influenced the Inkeys with good deeds. But they could not influence the Macs. The Macs could see right through them. What they did was to make sure the Macs are disorganized by constantly removing their leaders. The solution here is that we start from the Talonot side. In this second dimension, the timeline is advanced by 20 to 30 years. But the Armada has not formed yet. The Maccabees made sure of it by making sure the Macs do not contact Earth. They did not contact Earth people but they made sure they waited for the Armada key personnel to appear so they could kill them. Again, here they befriended the Inkeys with some degree of success. Also the Macs were not influenced. Here Eric proposed to start with the Inkeys although several argued that we start with the Talonauts. His idea was simple, defeating the Maccabees in the Inkey galaxies would send them all away and that the Inkeys are very close to the Norsets, which is one major task we have to deal with all the time. And the operation is very close to Earth which may or may not need help. She raised the hollow for the 3rd dimension. In this 3rd dimension, the Armada has formed with Inkey and Mac personnel, no humans. Not yet, but plans are being drawn up to make contact. But our intel on the Earth here shows the timeline is behind us by 50 or so years, meaning the Armada humans were not even born yet. The Maccabees here are waiting for all the Armada people to appear before they engage them. They were waiting for the key personnel to show themselves. In the meantime, they worked on getting some of the Inkey leaders on their side. The last of the 4 is similar to Adam's except that Andrew and the gang were not killed. Adam is working for his father, and they are working to beef up their ships with the help of the Macs and Inkeys. Here the Maccabees came late but they have started their infiltration operations for years ago. They have also influenced some Inkey leadership. They have contacted several species to fight for them, the Roonies and Lannis, the Toms and the Marinti Emperor. You may conclude that the solution in all the 4 dimensions is simple removal. The last one may involve a little bit more time than the first 3. She sat and Binaton stood. I do not normally face Armada people to give a report or something, but I want to personally report to you what the Norsets have been up to. Our people, all our planets have restarted all our manufacturing facilities. Before we were producing 2,000 ships a year at our major manufacturing planets. Now we are producing 2,000 ships a month among all our planets. Binatton reported. A loud cheer from the mission hall. I lied, we only make 1,000 ships a month. A sudden booing came from the hall. Binatton laughed. No, that was a joke. In the past 4 weeks we built 2,000 ships. Some are still being tested, armed and programmed. So the pressure is there. We will build more than 24,000 ships in a year, more than anything we have done in all our history. Our task is to bring the Armada to other Norset dimensions so all Norsets can take part in the defense of all our dimensions by doing one of the biggest things we do best. You can expect at least 3 Norset dimensions match our volume in a few months. He sat down. Manpat stood and, just remember the ass-kissing is SOP. Sarudam reports that to date there are 7 Talonot dimensions where their Manpat has ass-kissed the Armada people. There were also 16 Norset dimensions so far that went through this ritual. The mission hall laughed, causing Manpat to stop. Manpat continued, the point being that we now have millions of Talonots and Norsets that we can integrate into our Armada operations in other dimensions. We intend to double back and re-enter those dimensions we have established ourselves in and go the rounds of the human planets and start off a recruiting binge. Of course, we know David's planets are ripe for the picking, also Lasheen's and Sam's. But we also are importing Maccabees from the other dimensions, mostly newbies but eager to kick ass. You will see the personnel in some of our ships increase to 6,000 from the regular 2,000. Adam's dimension showed us a logistical solution to most of our operations. The Macs are now also on a manufacturing frenzy. They are building thousands of TPs and have embarked on designing and building space stations following Adam's suggestion. The Talonauts are now building more drones, the newer models, in 3 dimensions. Roden wants me to report that the Inkeys are now angry, and they are on mass training and manufacturing anything from TPs, supply and utility ships to small and large weapons. We cannot depend on the other Maccabee dimensions for logistics, they are themselves lacking these. Billy has told us to expect this, and we will respond. We will send ships and equipment to them. The Norsets are sending formulators and people to train them in their use. We are also moving Crinsons all the way to their world. In return they promised people, trained science and operations people. Manpat sat. Ellie gestured her hand. Let's all give a round of applause to our 4 inspirational speakers. The mission gave a good round of applause. Thank you Manpat, Binatton, Chilla and Roden. Ellie continued, I would like to report about the new DGs we have. Binatton let me discuss this so I can expand a little bit. The DG technology from Adam's dimension is similar to ours, but they were set up and programmed differently. So our eggheads tore Adam's DG apart and realized we could make a better DG than what they had because we have formulators and we have Crinsons. What we did was to transfer what our eggheads learned by letting them go through the Crinson several times. Once the Crinson got all the facts, it felt the direction where we should be going. Crinson communicated the feelings they had to our people and our people started a new design, from scratch. They came out with a mix of our DG technology. Our DGs are hard to manufacture and the programming is much more complex than Adam's. But because we have formulators, we can build them the way we did with some difficulty. Now Adam's DGs are larger, extremely hard to make because they have no formulators. But they got away with it by making their DGs perform less, since their ships are smaller. They solved the sizing issue for us. Because we have formulators, what is very hard for them to manufacture is very easy for us. We are able to design and create materials they could never have. Our people decided to use the best there is and we came out with a ship DG that is so small it fits in the bridge like a large console. It also uses about 40% less power and can open a DG window that is the size of 4 of our regular Armada-class ships as its maximum. The caveat here is that we will complete 3,000 of these in 2 weeks. So this will give you an idea when we would be deploying. Uncle Eric? She looked at Eric. Eric stood, I told you I am not your uncle. You are older than me by 50 years, get that in your head. Andrew in the mission room laughed. Fine, I am here to announce that the list of promotions will be disseminated tomorrow. A loud cheer broke out in the mission room. Eric continued, we get so wrapped up in our work, this very important thing is often overlooked. You will also see within the promotions list the new ship assignments, I mean very new Armada ship assignments, tomorrow. Those in the field will get the information tomorrow as well, but they would get their new ships when they redeploy. More cheers. I disseminated the intel on the 4 dimensions to all the Armada officers and personnel. Even the cooks have the intel. The size of the undertaking is huge. 4,000 Armada ships, 1,000 support ships and 30 million personnel. We started prepping 4 weeks ago and based on the figures I believe we would be ready to go in 2 weeks. There will be 5 major engagement areas, one is near Earth, one is the Talonauts, the Norsets, the Intkeys, and the human planets. Eric continued. A holo listed the 5 with the number of ships, commanders, and objectives. Eric approached the holo. The Talonaut area would be handled by Romita, Manpat and Bastgar, the Earth area by Linda, Keelmill and myself, the Norsets by Tonin, Roger and Pulm, the Intkeys by Gantley, Jenny and Sind, the human galaxies by Lachine, Limnia and Junie and the 2 kings under him. Now we would expect that the main commanders in a battlefield area would talk on how best to approach the problem. You all have experienced working in other dimensions starting say from the Max, then you move to the Intkeys, to the Norsets, Bofengs and so on, all the events in one or single dimension. As you all know that most of our commanders are deployed in at least 12 dimensions right now and we do not want to disrupt their operations. Eric took a few steps. This time the 5 battle areas would be multidimensional. For example, Romita, Manpat and Bastgar would decide which of the 4 dimensions would they start with or concentrate on. They can move from one dimension to the other, back and forth, in and out. Or they can divide their group into 4 and work together. Now that we can travel across these 4 dimensions any which way, all the dimensions would be seen as one unified one with 4 subsets. They can choose to deal with the 4 at the same time. To us it would not matter. What matters is time. We only have 2 months to do whatever we need to do. Then we move to another group of 4 dimensions but this time another arena. So Romita, Linda and Bastgar would now deal with the Norsets or human side. Wait, I didn't hear Andrew's name. Roden commented. We are all grown-ups, we can all manage without our Uncle Andrew. Eric said and Roden laughed as did the mission room. Andrew stood. I guess that's my cue. I am now resigning from the Armada. The mission room became quiet. Ellie laughed. No, he's not. But he pulled a good one on all of you. Andrew laughed. Okay, it was a joke. The crowd booed him. Andrew walked to the center beside Eric. I would be spending quality time with my son and try to understand his world. I would also help him deal with the human galaxies and bring them to the fold. In almost all the dimensions we have gone through, the human galaxies did not receive the usual treatment we gave the others. We all know the Romits are dominating them. We also know about the large slave operations. I believe this time we should devote time with them. Actually, my task is not really to babysit my son but to tell the leaders of Adam's dimension what we want them to do. So now you go in and lord it over the leaders, like an overlord. Binaton said. Not just an overlord Binaton but an uncle overlord. The mission hall laughed. The next day at Andrew's backyard, Adam and Louise beamed in. Vicky was taking care of little Adam, Ellie and Elaine were talking to Julia and Danny while Andrew and Timmy were cooking the steaks. Adam and Louise said hello and hugged everybody. After lunch they all went to the party place. I get it, you were married here. Adam said. Yes, we were. This was actually a wedding gift from Roden. But that is not why I brought you two here. He held Adams by the arm and nodded to Ellie who took Louise's hand. They guided them to the diamond wall. Look below to your left. Andrew said. Adam could see a ship similar to Andrew's with the name GSS Adam Man and beside it is an Armada science ship similar to Ellie's with GSS Louise Man on it. They were just delivered 2 days ago by the Max. It's similar to your dad's ship only newer. Louise's ship is similar to mine but also newer. Adam hugged and kissed his father and Louise followed. The others followed with hugs and kisses. You also get 200 of our Armada-class ships to bring back to your galaxies. Actually, your Roden and Gantley gets their special ships also along with 200 ships from the Norsets. Louise gets 20 science ships from Ellie. Olive appeared. Adam, since you have the newer Norset-type data system, would you like to transfer your AI to your new ship? No, I already have my mom here. I would like to have Olive back. I will just install myself also in your ship. Then your Olive will get all the data from your old ship AI. Adam nodded. I like to have Olive too. Louise complained. Elaine held her hand and said, get Brad or Tom. Yes, Auntie, good idea. I'll get Brad. Brad, please come over. Brad appeared. Hi Louise, I am happy you chose me over Tom. They all laughed. I taught him his sense of humor. I told him to study your father and look for the comedy patterns on how he thinks and there you have it. A funny AI. You are too kind Vicky, but I still have to learn drama. I will transfer myself to your new ship Louise. Brad will also get your AI when you get back to your dimension. Adam, would you like to have a walk-through of your new ship? Olive asked. Dad, Mom, guys? They all gave an affirmative. First, they toured Adam's ship, then Louise's ship. Olive explained things most of the time with some jokes thrown in by Andrew, Ellie, and Timmy. They ended at Louise's bridge. "This looks like Adam's," Louise said. "Yes, it will remind you that you still work for the Armada, and you have to be always ready for combat. You also have 1,000 Brad bodies and Adam has 1,000 Olive bodies," Ellie said. "I also want to mention that all your ships have 100 humans, 100 Macs, 100 Inkies, 100 Maccabees, 100 Norsets, and 100 other aliens. These people will train your people as you go along. For the science ships, you have 100 Maccabees, 300 Norsets, 300 Inkies, and 300 Macs as your basic pool of eggheads. They will all return to the original groups in exactly 1 year." "Come on, I want to go back home," Vicky said. The group agreed and beamed to the backyard. Andrew and Adam sat and Timmy got a brandy bottle from the end of the table and opened it. He gave a cup to Adam, then Andrew. "I get it, your Timmy is the US president?" Timmy asked. "Yes, uncle, but he's on his second term which ends in 3 months. The sudden change of events messed up the elections, but I know Uncle Alan will win it." Olive appeared. "Andrew, a DG window from Adams is opening. A person by the name of Cromwell is asking permission if he could talk to Adam. Tell him to beam over here." Cromwell appeared with 3 ship commanders. Adam stood and introduced the 4. "This is Commander Cromwell, Commander Jason, Commander Lisa, and Commander Pierce." He then introduced Andrew and the gang. Cromwell started. "Sir, an hour ago a small DG window opened and closed. Then a saber was found near the area where the DG was. The saber's rear right wing and tail were cut off, like the DG window suddenly closed on it and cut it off. When we got nearer, we saw a human in an escape pod floating inside the destroyed ship. It was your Uncle Roger. We brought him inside our ship. He was very weak, full of torture marks, and almost dying from a bloody slash on his side. He is stronger now but sleeping. We got intel from his ship, and he belongs to another dimension. We have the address, and it is not one of the dimensions we know. He is sleeping now and we will let him sleep for a few hours, then we will wake him up." Lisa continued. "Sir, we may not have the luxury of time. If they knew where he went, the enemy could send scouts to look for him or his body to make sure he is really dead." Pierce said. 2,000 Armada ships are prepared to leave on your order." Jason said. "Olive, I want to send a scout party, Crimson Invisible, to the target dimension. Send a Mac and Trunty immediately to read Roger's mind." Adam said. "Yes, Adam, we can deploy 50 Armada ships under your dad's command group within the hour. I would suggest you let some of your people go with these ships," Andrew said. Adam agreed and, "Yes, Cromwell, assemble 100,000 of our infiltrators to go with these ships. I am getting 200 of my dad's Armada ships with 1,000 of his people in each ship. Then assemble 1 million from our Armada ships, full mixed complement to transfer to these 200 ships in 2 hours. I want to add 5,000 personnel to each of these ships. Assign these 200 ships to our top 200 commanders. The ships have no names, so tell the ship commanders to put names on these ships. Tell all the Armada ships to deploy and take defensive positions. We may have scouts coming in within a few hours." Cromwell smiled and saluted. "Yes, sir." They all beamed out. "I realized Adam's people are more formal than your clownish teams, Andrew," Timmy said. Ellie moved to embrace Timmy from the back. "Am I clownish, Daddy? Except you, of course. My friend, we try our best, all the 24 species in our Armada, to be the best clowns in the galaxies." They all laughed. "We better get ready to deploy," Adam said. "I agree," Andrew said. They bid the family and the others goodbye. Ellie and Louise did not go with them. At Andrew's bridge. "Andrew, we have Blair, Trend, Redcon, Atlas, and Tanner with us in the 50 ships. We can leave in an hour. Ellie will bring 400 of our ships in 3 hours." Olive said. "Tell Gantley to send 20 ships from their side and Billy to get in from their side. Tell Tonin and Manpat to each send in 20 ships from their side as well. Standard 1-dimension operation. I want us to go to Adam's dimension first, get Roger and move over to his dimension to see what's up." Andrew said. "Dad, I think you should spend some time with Timmy and our people on Earth. Let me prepare them. Maybe you can just come in with Ellie." Andrew thought for a while. "You're right, son." Adam kissed his father on the cheeks and beamed out. "Olive, tell Blair, Trend, Redcon, Atlas and Tanner to report here, please." A few minutes later, Blair beamed in, then Trend and Redcon, then Atlas and Tanner beamed in. They all saluted sharply when they beamed in front of Andrew. "Hi guys, let's sit at the back." They moved to the sofas and chairs at the back of the bridge. As they sat, Andrew started with Cromwell's report, then their plans to move to Roger's dimension. He mentioned he requested Gantley, Tonin, Manpat and Billy to send 20 scout ships in to see what's up. He also mentioned that he wanted 5,000 of Adam's people to join each of the ships so they could learn. In a few hours we will get the intel from the Mac and Trunty that Adam sent to read Roger's mind. I believe we can move to Adams in an hour. Blair said. We would have to wait for the others. We leave in 3 hours with Ellie and her group. Andrew said. Gantley, Tonin and Manpat has confirmed that they will send 20 scout ships to recon Roger's dimension. Olive said. Tanner, I want to send 20 ships to recon the human planets at Roger's dimension. I want at least 200 romits in each of the ships to recon the planets. Andrew said. Sir, the 20 would have to split into 4 groups so they can cover more area. 1 at the Jectinox, 1 at the human planets, 1 at the Bourbon and 1 at the slave planets up to the Rotnamies. I agree Blair. Olive, tell Ellie to send 20 ships out. Andrew said. Yes Andrew. Adam's people just opened a DG. They are asking permission to come on board the 50 ships. Olive said. Tell them to go ahead. Tell the ships to ID each of them properly. Then let all their officers go through the Crimson. We should change their implants as well. Blair said. Yes. Olive tell the ships to do this. After a few hours Ellie beamed into Andrew's bridge. Sir, we're all ready to move to Adam's dimension. Olive opened several holos of their 450 ships and after a few minutes they started to disappear. The ships found themselves near a planet called Planet Washington which was really Planet Tokyo in Andrew's dimension. It was 12% bigger than Earth and had only 3 large continents connected to each other with land bridges. 73% of the planet was covered in water. As soon as Andrew's ship arrived, Adam invited him and Ellie to his bridge. At Adam's bridge, hi Dad, Auntie Ellie. He moved to kiss his dad and let Ellie kiss him like she always does. Olive was beside Adam's chair standing. So how do you find your new ship? Andrew asked. I absolutely love it. Olive is absolutely fantastic. And she's actually funny, in a way, the way she talks and tells about situations. Thank you Adam. Have you been rapping again Olive? Ellie asked. Yes, it was actually easier for me to rap than to talk straight. Adam understands it anyway. But sometimes he misses the metaphors so I had to explain. I believe Adam's people are not into reality shows as your people are Andrew. They just need a little bit more time to get into the groove. Once they go through the Crimson, you will start seeing them normal. So our behavior is not normal, Auntie? Normal, but not normal reality show material. Andrew's Armada behaves as if their whole lives are in a reality show that people can watch. A little bit high on the practical jokes, lower with stand-ups, with some drizzle of over-drama. Their activities have been turned into several reality shows being shown across our galaxies to all the alien species. Their ratings are actually very high. Olive said. So Dad, Auntie, you're movie stars? Unknown movie stars. The reality series show actual alien faces, like Roden and Gantley. The stars don a chameleon device to actually look like them, but for Armada humans, they do not show our real faces and our names were a bit altered. Since now you're here, you'd be in the reality shows as well. Expect the show with you in it to air in 2 months. Ellie said. Olive, make sure they use my real face. Yes Adam. They all laughed. Our appointment with Uncle Timmy is in 5 minutes. Appointment? Andrew asked. No, we do not honor appointments. Let's go there now. Olive. Andrew realized this is exactly Ellie's personality. Timmy was in a meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada and the Presidents of Mexico, Chile, and Peru. The 4 appeared beside Timmy. Hi Daddy. She moved quickly to her dad who was slowly standing from his seat. Andrew quickly introduced himself, Olive and Adam to the foreign leaders. He shook their hands and squeezed himself to sit between the Canadian and the Mexican leaders. Timmy was crying now and Olive beamed Elaine beside her. Seeing Ellie, Elaine moved to embrace her. Timmy gave Elaine a chance to embrace her daughter well. Then embraced the 2, wrapping his arms around the 2 most important women in his life. After a few minutes, Andrew stood. Okay, that's enough kissing and hugging. My turn. He moved to Timmy and embraced him tight. He kissed Timmy on his cheek. Then he moved to Elaine and embraced her as well with a kiss to each cheek. Why don't we all sit down? Ellie said as Elaine got her hand and they sat on the chairs near Timmy's table. Timmy started to introduce the foreign leaders. We were talking about the progress in filling the void left by the removal of the Maccabees. What you should be talking about is how to integrate your countries together as one. I understand that the Maccabees control the off-world activities and that will now change. You have to understand that out there in space it's a different ballgame that humans must adapt to the realities. Timmy, I want you to start a summit of all leaders of this planet and I will talk to all of them. Sure buddy, but I would be out of office in a few. Alan would have to do that. We would have to do it tomorrow then. The Mexican president spoke. I don't think integration is possible. Look guys, here is a rule you would have to follow. There is only one way to get into space and that is through Adam's Armada. You only have one planet, Washington, and I will move all of those people back to Earth unless they sign an equality document and that the planet elect Timmy here as the planet governor. You cannot force people to do things, Andrew. Timmy said. Not force, Timmy, they just do not know what they're up to yet. I will explain the new realities at the summit. Tomorrow would not be possible. Timmy said as he moved nearer Ellie to hold her hand. No, I have tagged all the leaders on this planet and I can move them anywhere I like. I can move them to my ship tomorrow morning whether they like it or not. If they do not behave I will put them in time boxes while I talk. I do not have time to argue with the leaders. You don't have to go. Just spend time with Ellie. Adam and I will take care of things. We do not bow to dictatorship, the Canadian leader said. You can think however you like. But once I say my piece, you are all free to choose. You can think about it until you die. And when you are about to die, you can sign the piece of paper and we will extend your lives say 100 years more. Or you can choose to live 600 to 700 years more now and live anywhere you like in the galaxies. The summit will start at 9 a.m. tomorrow and if you are not dressed properly at that time, then too bad. Olive, beam these people back to their offices and appear in front of all the leaders and tell them to dress up for the summit at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The leaders disappeared. You are really taking this Uncle Overlord seriously, Dad? It makes for a good reality show. Olive said and Adam laughed. He remembered his dad has always been like this. Absolutely. Olive, I need a costume. Why not a clown costume? It fits your personality. You know what, Timmy, I will do just that. Olive, do we have a clown costume in our outer uniform? Yes, you can choose from 30 different ones. Andrew just realized, why would the Norsets program 30 clown costumes? Ellie invited her parents to her ship and they beamed out. Andrew and Adam followed. The next day, Andrew, Timmy, Ellie and Adam were standing at Andrew's reception hall. They sat behind a table on a raised floating floor. Cromwell, Pierce and Lisa appeared. Then Blair, Tanner, Redcon, Trend and Atlas appeared. There were mess hall chairs for more than 100 leaders of the different countries. Sir, do you want us to appear in costumes or our regular mystic robes? Tanner asked. Andrew's outer uniform turned into a colorful clown costume. Then Ellie turned her outer uniform to an all-white angel costume, with wings. Blair then turned her uniform into an old Union officer costume complete with a hat. Tanner turned his uniform to a Napoleon-inspired uniform. Trent turned his uniform to a colorful uniform with 24 medals. Now Andrew is really peaked with the Inky obsession with medals. Atlas turned to a Roman uniform while Redcon changed to an all-red cassock with the hood over his head making him appear less Roman. Timmy laughed. I guess you guys have done this in the past. Several times, Daddy. Timmy laughed. Adam Mind asked Ellie if this is really normal for them and Ellie said, yes, this is what we do. Adam and his group did not change from their new black Armada uniform. At exactly 9 a.m. all the leaders appeared at the back of the hall. Andrew stood, greetings leaders of Earth. Please take a seat. He waited for them to sit. The group was very quiet. Andrew began introducing his people then he introduced Adam and his people. Okay, this meeting is being broadcasted to all your countries and all your communication stations are carrying this in all your channels. He looked at Ellie. Ellie stood in her white flowing costume. Good morning. It's a good thing all of you are dressed properly, enough. Okay, we gathered all of you here to listen to us tell you about some realities you would now be facing. We have gone to more than 36 Earths and in all our visits, the humans are the same. Given a choice, they will bungle it. All of them have and we had to correct what they did. The key is really to give only 2 items to choose from. One is to stay on Earth until you die and the other is a longer life of up to 1,000 years and with the option to travel anywhere in the galaxies. Sign this piece of paper and you can leave Earth and have longer lives. Not sign this and you die here in a few years as you would normally. This piece of paper simply states that you will treat all alien beings as your equal and that you choose a planet you want to reside in as a citizen of that planet. Armada recruits become the citizen of planet Washington. Somebody started to talk in a loud voice. Andrew, he's the president of China and he said his country will not bow to alien dictators. Olive said. Andrew stood, we are not here to listen to or reason or argue with you. Ellie spelled the only choice you have. Sign up or die here on Earth as a normal human would. When you sign up, you will live another 600 or more years and enjoy life among the galaxies. Your people are free to sign up. And by the way, the Maccabees invaded your planet and made sure you like them enough to let them integrate with you. Unknown to you, they have an evil agenda. These people can just blow up your planet. They have thousands of bombs in all your cities. They have blown up a planet of their own people. They came over to control your people to serve them, and you have unwittingly done so. In the future, there may be several invasions coming from other dimensions, and Adam will prevent your people from getting killed. And as you already know, we will treat those who collaborated with the Maccabees as traitors and spies. These human collaborators and spies will go through mind reading and a personality change. We are not open to discussion, and we will not listen to anything you have to say. We do this all the time so we know where we stand. Your job is to choose and understand that this is a new reality in the galaxies. You are only one planet. We impose this rule on several species from thousands of planets. And don't think you are special just because you live in my son's planet. Andrew sat. Blair stood. Okay, our Uncle Overlord wants to play bad cop. I play the good cop. Let me spell out something before you mess up the interpretations here. This document simply state that you promise to be good to your neighbor, human or otherwise, to treat your neighbor as you would yourself. If you cannot understand this, you do not deserve to leave this planet. That is the simple interpretation. Once you sign this, you will belong to the galaxies as a good neighbor. You can live and prosper among the stars, among our alien friends. Look, we do not even belong to this universe, we come from a different dimension, and in our travels in a lot of dimensions, this equality is the norm. If you oppress, enslave, or eat other aliens, we will deal with you. So if you cannot understand this, you cannot leave, and we will destroy any ship that violates this rule. She sat. Atlas stood quickly. Blair, that is not how you play the good cop. You promise to destroy anybody violating the rules. I am the good cop. In fact, to show you that I am really good, I will provide each of your people 10 fist-sized diamond and 100 kilos of gold. Atlas, you're not a good cop, you're crazy. That's bribery. Whether we give them anything or not, there would be more than 1 billion people who will sign up in the next 6 months. More will sign up after. Once they sign up and leave Earth, they will find out that what they value most highly on Earth, we just throw around. Ellie said. Adam realized they must be playing an unwritten script. Redcon stood. Atlas, I believe humans are most motivated by fear. Then by greed. You should first make them fear you. I was using a positive approach. You're making it appear we are conning them. Atlas said. Tanner shouted, you are conning them. Andrew's group laughed. That is why I refuse to listen to what they have to say. That's instilling fear and uncertainty among them. Look, I think some of them are already showing signs of distress. Andrew said. Sir, whatever we do, these leaders will do the wrong things. None of these leaders would ever understand the reasoning behind this document. Ellie said. Wait, Peach, if you knew how many would sign up and that none of these people will ever understand, why talk to them at all? Timmy, drama. These people served as our props so we can broadcast the idea to the whole of Earth. None of what they would say, do, or decide would matter in the long run. After 50 years all of these people here would be dead. But for those who signed up, they would still be living and enjoying a good life in the galaxies. I thought you wanted them to integrate with the US. Timmy said. Yes, but that's here on Earth. Out there, these things do not matter. Andrew explained. Another reason is really so that we could wear our costumes. Redcon said, and they all laughed, except the leaders. Dad, so when Uncle Alan becomes president, he really does not need to integrate with the other countries. It's good for the US and for Earth as a whole to support the economy and to support the human expansion among the galaxies which the US will lead. Remember, the US will have an unprecedented rate of growth and it would need the population increase to sustain the growth. The off-world population will drain the workforce on Earth and the US must support these off-world activities. What would matter is that the Armada is formed which you will lead, and that trade and commerce is established with more than 24 species across 40 BLY of intergalactic space, which your Uncle Timmy would lead. You ensure the peace while Timmy will ensure the good life. How do you know these things would happen as they would? Daddy, we have seen it happen several times in several dimensions or universes. These things are the natural course of events. We have helped them happen smoothly. If you can imagine it, Timmy, what the whole planet generates in income is so small compared to the Inkies who have 800 planets and each planet is thousands of times richer than Earth. Then consider the Macs, the Norsets, the Talonauts, the Maccabees. You have a lot of catching up to do. Andrew said. That is why integrating with the other human planets is a priority. Tanner said. And you all know where they are? Yes, and we also know some people in these human planets. Ellie said. Cromwell interjected. Excuse me, sir. I believe we should dismiss the leaders if we do not need to talk to them anymore. Andrew realized they might spill secrets they do not want to be known. Good thinking, Cromwell. Olive, send these people back where you got them. The leaders disappeared. Dad, do you want to beam Uncle Roger here or do you want us to go to the med hall? Is he strong enough? I mean to sit and talk? Ellie asked. Yes, he wanted to go back to his galaxy and fight. Olive, get Roger and have him sit on the chair over there. Roger appeared and Olive held his arm to help him sit. Do I have to wear a costume also, Olive? Roger groaned. The group laughed and Andrew's group turned back to their Armada uniforms. Good, I thought I went to a costume party without a costume. Hi buddy, what's up with you getting hurt and almost dying? I have never seen you do these things. Andrew said. Completely out of character. Why are you doing these things? Ellie asked. She then proceeded to introduce the group. I already know Timmy, Adam, you and Andrew. Yes, but we are in a different dimension, remember? And we do not even belong to this dimension. We came from another dimension to see you because we heard you bumped your head and you may not be your normal self. Ellie said. I am my normal self but I am completely unhappy at this time. Andrew saw an opening and, you cannot be unhappy while smiling at us. The group laughed because Roger has a smiling face even if he is unhappy. That's funny, Andrew. Okay, my planet has been taken over by the Maccabees with the help of 3 species called Ramitlox, Laninos and Runicomus. Millions are dead. They have started moving our people back to their homeworld as slaves and as food. The whole planet is devastated. I volunteered to get a saber and get to any dimension. A group of scientists helped me open the DG. They were probably all killed. The group included you, Ellie. Andrew thought that Roger probably has not seen a Romit before. Not another ghost, Ellie. Ellie exclaimed and the group laughed. Olive, can you tell all those involved in the operations in Roger's dimension to report here, please? Roger started to narrate how the Maccabees appeared and started to bombard the planet from space. After a month of bombardment, they came down to a planet largely destroyed. Then they started rounding up humans where they could find them and herded them into their ships. Millions died in the initial attack, millions more in the ground war and millions died in their ships. Then he heard that 3 other alien groups came to join the Maccabees. Romita appeared with another Romita. Hi Uncle Andrew, this is Romita from Roger's dimension. They have the same issues. We probably need 3 months to get things in order all the way to the Tosbans. Then Billy appeared. Hi guys. Roger, you look really good. The Maccabees in Roger's dimension is pretty entrenched. They have control of all their planets in the 4 colonies. I probably need a month to get all their people. We are looking at more than 200 million in spies. I have tagged most of the royals and a few of the commanders. I will commence getting these people once the Maccabees personnel from another dimension comes in to help me out. Ellie, I need the new DGs. When will I get them? Give me a month. Rabina asked for more than 5,000 DGs. The Norsets will start shipping them out in 2 weeks. Colonel Hyru appeared with Tonin. Sir, this is Tonin from Roger's dimension. They have the same issues and I believe we will finish in about 3 months, all the way to the Bofangs. The tagging will be delayed by a month because we had to wait for the taggers at Adam's dimension before we get them at Roger's. You could say, we are facing the usual here and we will be on schedule. Ramaston appeared. Sir, this is Roden and Gantley. I just got them from the planet a few hours ago. We will proceed to the Crimson then to the Inki galaxies. I sent half of the ships yesterday to the Inki capital planet. The Maccabees have taken over the government of the Inkis, Furlits and Intis. Initial reading from our Trunties revealed that they at first appeared as their long-lost friends and after 15 years, they killed most of the leaders, including Roden's father and took over the government. All the present Inki leaders are Maccabee puppets. All the Inkis in their intergalactic fleets are minions of the puppets. I will simply remove them in about 3 months and install Roden as their new leader. Sir, they have the slave planet and the mutant planet here also. But I am confident we will be on schedule, including the refugee work. You must have a lot of people working for you. Ellie said. Ramaston, yes Ellie, our Roden gave me more than 5 million personnel for this operation. I thought it was an overkill. But then I realized that we had to train more people for other dimensions so this figure is not at all large. Tiffany looked at Ramaston. Why not throw 1 million taggers over to us? We can train them too. Olive, tell Roden to send a few millions to Tiffany please. Thank you sir. Tiffany said. Joey appeared. Sir, I have gathered the prelim intel on Roger's dimension. 4 groups deployed yesterday from 4 different points from our dimension towards their target galaxies at Roger's dimension. The picture in the human planets seems the usual except the Romits have cloaks and plasma cannons. The Jectanox were also overrun. The slave planets are operating while the Bourbons have not started their invasion of the Mac planet. These are all prelim and it does point to the usual except for the Romits. Roger stood. Andrew, we cannot wait. We have to leave now. All our ships are ready to leave in an hour. Adam's people have beamed into our ships, more than 5 million of them. Cromwell, stay here and take care of our planets. I will go with Father to Roger's dimension. Lisa, Pierce, come with me. See, Roger, we're all ready to go in an hour. Why don't we head over to the mess hall? I want you to tell us more. All the holos disappeared and the group walked over to the mess hall. After a few hours, Andrew and the Armada found themselves near the Earth at Roger's dimension. The ship sent out hundreds of drones. At Andrew's bridge, Olive scans showed that there were more than 500 Maccabee ships, 5,000 Romet ships, 10,000 Lani ships and 12,000 Rooney ships deployed within 10 MLY of Earth. Olive produced several holos showing the ships in formation. I'd say this is an overkill. They probably thought Earth here has the Armada. Andrew said. Dad, do you want to send all our people out? Yes, son. Bomb their engines and tag all their people. Hack all their systems. Olive, map out the target enemy personnel on the ground and tag them. It will take a day for our people to finish. Olive said. Olive, can you call Joey and Ramaston please? Ramaston and Joey appeared. Sir, you called. Joey asked. Ramaston, have you tagged all the Maccabee leadership and the Inky leadership? Yes, sir, all of their main leaders. I will finish with the ships tomorrow. All their ships have been bombed. I have tagged the Romet Emperor and I can talk to the Queens right after. Joey said. You feared a counterattack from the Inkies and Romets. Yes, son. Joey, you can proceed with the Emperor and the Queen. Very well, sir. Joey said. Redcon looked at Joey. Joey, if you need me, just call. Sure, but our Romet commanders are okay. We'll just have one of your commanders appear as you in a chameleon device. Thanks anyway. Sir. He saluted and disappeared. Ramaston, we will execute tomorrow afternoon. Very well, sir. Ramaston, why all of a sudden you are so formal? Ellie asked. I am trying to change my image. You have a girlfriend. Ellie deduced. The group looked at him. Ramaston smiled and, yes, from Junie's planet. She's working with Edna. Good for you. But I am more comfortable with your old self. The one we know from the mountain. It's okay, Uncle Andrew. This is the new me now. Roden said he is happy with the advance in timetable. I will gather his loyal commanders tonight and keep them close to us during the operation. Ramaston, I just want you to know that I am very, very proud of you. Thank you, sister. Sir. He beamed out. Andrew, we need to get our people to safety. Yes, Olive, please look for our Armada people. Send the Max Mind Readers and Norset hackers out to gather intel on where they could be. Our main headquarters is under a mountain in Colorado. Olive presented the cave system. There are more than 22,000 people in the cave system. The taggers are going in now. Olive said. Beam some of the leaders and personnel to the reception hall and some to the different mess halls in the ship. The taggers have left. They will all be here in a few minutes. I will start beaming people to the reception hall in a few minutes. Roger, let's go meet your people. Ellie, Adam. Olive, beam us there. They stood near the main double door of the reception hall. Roger's people started to beam in several at a time. Roger, there's Ellie. She's not dead. And Eric, Linda, Alan and you, Adam. Ellie said. Olive, can you look for my father in this dimension and beam him here? He's dead. A person in the crowd said. Adam recognized the voice. It was Vicky. Andrew, who was nearer, walked over to Vicky. I am so sorry, Vic. He embraced her and kissed her on both cheeks like he does with his wife. Adam approached them and Andrew let her son embrace his mother. Hello, Mom. Vicky started to cry and Adam embraced her tighter. Andrew then embraced the two. Ellie stepped on the raised floor. Hello, guys, welcome to Uncle Andrew's ship. All the people in the cave are being beamed in the various mess halls. Olive beamed some refreshments on tall tables all around the area. I know you are all hungry and I would like to direct you to get some of the refreshments Olive was so kind to provide. Several dozen Macs appeared around them and started poking them with medicine and nano shots. Roger's people suddenly felt better and stronger. Andrew and Roger stepped up to the raised floor. Hello, I'm Andrew. I know I probably look like the nutcase you all know. But I assure you I am better. I know, you think that I shouldn't be making fun of the dead. But I assure you, Andrew would make fun of me if the case was otherwise because he believes he has the right to make fun of himself. The crowd laughed. Now, here's a little bit of fun for you. You will notice that there would be a copy of yourself walking around. You will also notice that you can feel something about your other self. You are actually feeling what your other self is feeling. And they are feeling what you are feeling. Local Ellie walked in front of Andrew. If I am feeling what Ellie is feeling and Ellie is feeling what I am feeling, then how would we know we are feeling the other's feelings and not the other way around? Hi Ellie. I know, the mirror in the barbershop trick. No, you will feel what you are feeling more intensely, more connected to you, than what you feel from the other you. Believe me, you are lucky there's only two of you. I had the occasion to be in the presence of 7 other Andrews, and each of the Andrew is thinking and feeling something weird about something and feeling these while each is feeling the other 7. The room laughed again. Okay, Olive will show all of you to your rooms so that you can all freshen up, don the Armada body armor and then the Armada outer uniform. We would like to meet the commanders at the mission room in 2 hours. Roger said. The people started to disperse as some Olives appeared to escort them out. Some were escorted by Max. Adam embraced local Adam. Mom, you and Adam can bunk at my stateroom. I will just bunk with Dad at his stateroom. Local Adam looked early 20s, maybe younger if he's all freshen up, Adam thought. Would you like to go over to my stateroom now, Mom? Vicky nodded and the 3 disappeared. You can bunk with me at my ship, Ellie. And why is your hair black? Ellie asked. Local Ellie answered, blonde is too bright at night. And the Maccabees know me as a blonde. Where are Mom and Dad? They are holed up in another cave system in the East Coast. Ellie held local Ellie's hand and read her mind. Olive, get our people over there, tag them and beam them to Adam's ship's mess hall. Beam my parents here. Local Ellie looked at her, questioning. How'd you know where the cave is? Local Ellie asked her. Ellie smiled and kissed her cheeks. I read your mind. She whispered to her ear. Andrew went over to Alan, Eric, and Linda. He greeted each one and gave each of them a hug. It's amazing how you look exactly like our Andrew. Alan said. And exactly the same Joker as our Andrew. Eric said. You know me. That's what I do. Andrew said. So Andrew, are you here to help us? Alan asked. Alan, buddy, I am here to rid your planet of these interlopers and create the best armada this universe has ever seen. Under you, of course, with Ellie, Tony, Eric, Linda, and Roger as your top commanders. Olive approached them and, may I show you to your quarters? They nodded and beamed out. Elaine and Timmy beamed in. Hey, looked who dropped by. Andrew greeted them. The 2 Ellies walked over and embraced their parents. Then the 2 Ellies switched to embrace the other parent. Andrew approached the couple and embraced each of them as well. 2 Max appeared and poked Ellie's parents with their med pens. There are 2 of you. Timmy exclaimed. I'm a copy of your daughter, Daddy. She embraced Timmy from the back, making her father feel at ease. Honey, I thought you did not survive. I am so happy to see you. And now there are 2 of you. Elaine said. Shall we proceed to my stateroom so you can freshen up? Ellie asked her parents and local Ellie. Olive, beam me where Vicky and her 2 sons are. After an hour, at Andrew's mission hall, all of Alan's officers and commanders packed the hall. Some were standing at the steps and aisles. Olive announced Andrew to the mission hall as Andrew, Adam, Roger, Ellie, local Adam, Lisa, and Pierce walked in. Now Andrew noticed that Adam and his 2 commanders were wearing blue Armada uniforms with black accents on the side. The outer uniform is the same style as the regular Armada uniform, just colored dark blue with a black band accent on both sides. Andrew started, greetings. I gather you all smell good and had a nice change to our usual Armada garb. I would like to acknowledge Roger for his successful trip to Adam's dimension. He was wounded, almost dying, and left alone floating in space. His saber was missing its tail and portions of its wings. He wrapped himself in an escape capsule hoping somebody would find him. Let's give a hell of an applause to Roger here. A loud applause came from the mission room. He looked at Roger, who walked nearer. Thank you, Andrew, but you have to acknowledge the team who sent me over, risked their lives so I can have that one chance. Ellie's team. A round of applause again. And I heard half of her team did not make it. Roger added. The applause died down. I know you guys have gone through hell. But we would like to assure you that your troubles are over. We expect to remove all of the Maccabees, Roonies, and Lannis from the planet and their ships within a week. As for the Romets, we found out that their whole armada is under the first hand of the king, Redcon. So we decided to switch their Redcon with our Redcon and just send them all home. Ellie said. You have Romets with you? Roger asked. Sure, we have hundreds of thousands of Romets in the armada. They are all very good fighters and very loyal to their queens. Andrew said. But they ate our people. Roger said. We'll just teach them to eat beef or lamb. Look, Roger, you and your people must take these extremely traumatic events in your lives as a way to learn to forgive, to value life, and to be good to your neighbor. The universe is an unforgiving place with so much evil and so much pain. In the end, species must learn to coexist and not exterminate the other species for whatever reason. In our armada we have more than 24 species, several used to be our enemies. But we realized that in order to move on, we just have to learn to forgive and be kinder to our new members who used to be our enemies. Ellie said. One thing about the Romits is that they do not want to go out of their galaxies and expand and kill people to expand their kingdom. It was only the king and his cronies who wanted this. All their 9 queens were against this. As we speak, Joey, one of our top commanders, is removing the Romit Emperor and his cronies and would be talking to the 9 queens and tell them the situation. The queens will agree and we would help all of them to return back to their planets. These Romits have expanded and conquered several species and they all want to go home. That is why Redcon will not have a hard time convincing his people to head home. Andrew said. Adam walked beside his father. We have started tagging all the Maccabee, Lannis and Roonies and expect to finish in 4 days. We would take a whole day to remove all of them from their ships and put them in a planet 85 MLY away. We would then move all their ships to a planet which we would later call Planet Los Angeles and dump them there. Redcon and his commanders have substituted all the top commanders of the Romits an hour ago. They have started their play to move the whole Romit fleet back home. Ellie stood. Now we have to address the refugee and slave problem. We have more than 5 million people who will work on the refugees, give them food and bring them back to health. Our engineers will establish 200 fusion generating plants across the planet. As far as the slaves are concerned, we would intercept their ships if they were in the ships or go to their planets and get them. The Maccabee Emperor and his people are all going away in a month. Billy will take care of this. Wait, where's your Billy? Local Ellie looked at her. He's dead. Not another ghost Billy. Andrew shouted. Ellie and Adam laughed. There are a lot of Armada ghosts and our ghost operatives will start beaming them in for processing tomorrow. They also found Billy. Olive said. Billy appeared beside Local Ellie. Local Ellie looked at Billy and, I thought you were dead? Billy held her shoulder and, I am dead. Are you dead too? Almost but not yet. Look guys, let me explain. Right now we are Crimson Invisible and in this invisibility, we are actually existing in the realm of ghosts. We have hundreds of ghost operatives with us. So I hope you get used to ghosts around you. Ellie said. You will also notice that because the ghosts know they are dead, they can behave more pesky than they normally are. And yes, Billy, you will always pester me, that is what you do. But you will never succeed, not in this dimension or any other. Andrew said and Billy laughed. How about my dad? Local Adam asked. We did not find Andrew. He died several months ago and he probably has moved on. So going back to the mission, we would like all of you to go through the Crimson to get the basics on Armada operations and technologies. After a few weeks we would let your personnel go through. Ellie said as she then went on to explain the Crinsons and Trunties, and what they do. Ellie continued, so for the next several days, you would have to go through the various Armada operations so you can experience what we do. She then went on to explain the major operations and functions. Andrew walks beside Ellie. I would be talking about your next several missions which will probably eat up more than a year of your lives. He then explained what is happening at the Talonot, Norset, Inki and Mac galaxies. Then he went on to explain their mission on the human planets. He discussed the slave planets and where they were. He concluded on how all the various armadas would be joined and integrated under one armada under Alan and under an operating council of various armada species headed by Roden. The next 3 days were busy days for all the ships. Ellie and her double went to Earth with several science teams to map out the rehabilitation of the power grids, food deployment, medical operations and movement of refugees. Local Ellie was particularly impressed how they could walk around among the enemy and people and do the survey and planning. Early morning on the 4th day, Olive sounded the alarm and executed the primary directive. Andrew and Adam were beamed to Andrew's bridge. What's up, Olive? A DG window opened 6 MLY further away from Tanner's position, 30 MLY away from here, and a scout ship was beamed near Tanner's position. Tanner is sending drone probes through the enemy DG now. He is opening his own DG and will be sending 10 ships in. After a few minutes several holoscreens floated showing more than 3,000 ships in 15 cone formations. The ships were the size of the larger Maccabee Vintas, a quarter of the size of the regular Armada ship. There were various support and supply ships at the tail end of the formation. Our ships in the area are now sending ghost hackers into the bridge of the enemy ships. Look for the command ship and their main leaders. Adam said. Judging from the formation, the command ship would be in this group at the center of the 15 cones. Since it's a sphere, the command ship is probably at the rear middle center. Send hackers into the biggest ship in the middle of the sphere, Olive. The hackers found the lead ship. The leaders are in the bridge, here. Andrew and Adam could see several people. Their main leader is Andrew, there's Eric, Ellie, Tony, and Alan. Do you want to talk to them, Dad? There are Maccabees on their ships. Andrew looked at Adam. Ellie appeared beside Adam. That answers your question, son. Olive, tell Tanner to deploy the quarterback cloaks on all the ships. Let me send some more quarterback cloaks to Tanner. Ellie said. The hackers report that they intend to go through the DG tomorrow. Olive said. Tell our taggers and bombers to finish with all the ships today. Tell Redcon to start moving out away from the DG opening. Andrew said. There are robots on the ground. He is suggesting that he leaves 10 ships to take all of them in, but you would have to throw the 10 further out. Olive said. Tell him we will do that. Olive, tell the taggers to finish up with the robots today. Redcon is leaving the area. He told the Maccabees he is leaving 10 ships for the robots to go to. He is telling all robots downside to return to their ships. The Maccabees does not seem to care what he does. Tell Redcon if he wants us to throw all the ships further out since their ships are too slow. They would still be within 20 mly by tomorrow. Adam said. Yes, Redcon said, good idea. Olive said. Tom, tell all the ships to deploy the quarterback cloaks on all the robot ships including the 10 Redcon left behind. Ellie said. Tanner appeared. Sir, I would like to deploy all my 50 ships into the other dimension to tag all the Maccabees. I will also put bombs at their engines, just enough to immobilize them. I will also deploy the virus. Go ahead, Tanner. Olive, tell Blair to send half of her contingent to cover Tanner's position. Can you tell Tanner to investigate if the Armada uniforms were also set to kill the wearers? The easiest way would be to beam in one of their people into the Crimson. Ellie said. He is getting one commander now and have Crimson look at the commander's uniform. Sir, we may have to execute before the other side DG's in. Ellie said. We can start with the ships. They're troops on the ground. Adam said. Crimson said the uniforms would kill the wearers. The 5 scout ships are moving into positions in gas planets. Their DG windows are closing. Olive said. Ellie, if we have to throw these ships around, do we have enough ships to throw them around with? Andrew asked. The Maccabees have 500, the Lannis have 10,000 while the Roonies have 12,000. Add the 3,000 or so ships from the other dimension, 25,500 total. Yes, in 60 throws or 60 minutes. Ellie said. A lot of small ships can deploy in 60 minutes. Adam said. What will really happen is that we will throw the robots first, that's 5,000 ships, then the 3,000 Armada ships from Tanner's side, so you are looking at fewer ships. Ellie explained. We can bomb their small ships and detonate when they move. Andrew suggested. Or deploy a virus to delay their moves. Olive, can you calculate the deployment time for the 2 options? Ellie countered. Bombing all the small ships will take 28 hours. The virus will deploy in 78% of the ships in that much time also. We'll do both then. Adam said. Very well, Olive, tell the hackers and bombers to deploy. Tell the commanders to bring all the bombers back as soon as the other side opens their DGs. Andrew finally said. A few hours after midnight, Olive sounded the ship alarm again. Andrew woke up and beamed to the bridge. What's going on, Olive?